Let's talk about what makes Yuji special and how he may have a deeper connection to Sukuna. But spoilers beware if you're not caught up on the manga. Alright, so this video is going to be a brief overview on some of the theories I've had on Yuji recently because I've gotten some sponsored questions asking about them. So if this is your first time hearing me talk about these things, I would highly recommend you check out my previous videos that go in depth on these subjects. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to link that down in the pinned comments below. But what we're going to be going over is my theory that Yuji and Sukuna are twins and perhaps even conjoined twins, and that could be the explanation for why Yuji might have a heavenly restriction. On top of that, I'm also going to be talking about my theory for why Yuji seemingly has blood manipulation. So first up, I want to talk about blood manipulation, and Lazuli asks if I think Yuji has that because of his relation to Choso or because he potentially ate the Cursed Womb death paintings, and I personally think it's the latter. I actually went over this theory a while back before we even saw Yuji seemingly use blood manipulation against Sukuna. So again, I'm going to point you to the pinned video down in the comments where I go over all of the information there. But yes, I think Yuji has a special ability, not literally curse technique, but he's just has a talent for being able to eat things like Sukuna's finger, right? So similarly, I think he is capable of eating the Cursed Womb death paintings and gaining strength from them. Gege pretty much says as much in the fan book that they would empower Yuji. So I think he also got the curse technique as a, side effect of that, if you will. So yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with his blood relation to the Kamo clan via Kenjaku, because one, I don't even know if Kamo's blood would have been at all involved in Yuji at that point. And also at the beginning of the story, Gojo with his 6 eyes looked at Yuji and said he didn't have a curse technique. So to me, it makes more sense that he got that from consuming the Cursed Womb death paintings. Now, our next set of questions comes to us from Seth, and it's about the Yuji Sukuna twin theory. So before I get into the questions, let me give a brief overview on what this is, but again, check the other video for the full breakdown. But essentially what I think is that Sukuna and Yuji are twins, and perhaps even conjoined twins. And I feel like Yuji most likely died in the womb if this was the case, and similar to how Maki and Mai were twins, viewed as one person by the universe, and Mai died, resulting in Maki getting an insane power-up, I think the same thing happened with Sukuna, and that explains why he's just so built different. Yuji initially died either in the womb or maybe outside of the womb if they weren't literally conjoined twins, and that resulted in Sukuna getting an insane power-up. Now, if they were conjoined twins, I also feel like Yuji dying in the womb could explain why Sukuna looks the way he does. He's a conjoined twin, so that's why he has 4 eyes, 4 arms, and 2 mouths. And maybe even that there was a literal transformation that took place when Yuji died to result in that crazy form, similar to how Maki's body literally transformed to be heavenly restricted. Now, obviously, she didn't grow any extra arms or anything, but Maki was the heavenly restricted version, right? And they weren't conjoined twins. So if you imagine a similar physical transformation could take place if they are similar, twins in the same way Maki and Mai were, I think that could explain Sukuna's form. So if you're following me thus far and all of that is true, then it would also explain why Yuji is physically built different, why he is so strong, fast, and durable, and it would be because he is heavenly restricted just like Maki, pre-awakened Maki, because Maki was much stronger, faster, and durable than a normal human even before Mai died. So that's the exact same position Yuji is in right now because Sukuna, his twin, is still alive, so he is not fully heavenly restricted. All right, so with that out of the way, I'm now going to address a couple of questions that Seth gave me about that theory. And again, if this is your first time hearing me talk about this, I implore you to go watch the original video because I do a much better job of breaking it down. Anyways, pause and read the whole thing if you want, but the first question Seth has is, if Sukuna and Yuji are twins, how does that work exactly? So if my, harebrained theory is correct, then I think they were conjoined twins and Yuji died in the womb, which would explain why Sukuna doesn't really even know he has a brother. I mean, he might know that he was a twin, but he wouldn't have had a relationship or actually known the brother at all, right? Which would explain maybe why this has never come up or he's never mentioned anything about it to Yuji. So I think if that is what happened, Yuji dies in utero and, he still was a person who existed. So in the 1,000 years that Kenjaku has been experimenting with both, creating life in the Cursed Womb death paintings and otherwise, for all we know, combined with incarnating sorcerers, both all of the ones in the Culling game and literally Sukuna, then kind of the magnum opus of all of that research could be a way to reincarnate Sukuna's lost twin. Now, why would he do that? We've got a couple of ideas, but really we're not going to know Kenjaku's truest intentions until Gege reveals them. But I think it's at least feasible that he found out a way to reincarnate that lost twin. And a big part of that could have been getting that familial DNA, which is why he went to the lengths he did to seduce Jin Itadori and ultimately conceive Yuji. So I don't know like the actual mechanism, but I just chalk it up to 1,000 years of experimentation and kind of the pieces that line up nicely with that. Then the second question is kind of in the same line with the heavenly restricted bonus and stuff. So again, with the way I'm posing this to have worked, it would be that Yuji died in utero, and so Sukuna, whilst still a baby, got the insane power buff that happens when one of the twin dies, equivalent to how Maki became fully realized when Mai died, except it's the other side of the coin, right? Because Sukuna would have been the one with a curse technique. So it would have been like, what if Maki had died instead of Mai? How powerful would Mai have gotten? So that's why Sukuna was just built different from the jump. The only difference is his twin died before he was even really born, right? So I don't think he necessarily turned into the King of Curses under this scenario. I think he would have been born with the 4 arms and 4 eyes, etc. Now, again, please take everything I'm saying with a massive grain of salt. These are by no means cold hard facts, and I could be completely wrong. I'm just trying to take the puzzle pieces that Gege has given us and try to paint the rest of the picture, out of the void. So I'm not even confident in this really. It's just kind of the most interesting theory I can piece together at this point. So, they might not be conjoined twins. They might not be twins at all. Maybe they're just blood related and those same things are kind of true. It wouldn't make sense with the heavenly restriction anymore. We'd have to find other answers for, why Sugino looks the way he does. But at least with this weird conglomerate of a theory, we kind of have explanations for everything. I also think that if some version of these events were true, that it would nicely explain why Sukuna hates Yuji so much. Even if he isn't aware of the fact that Yuji could be his twin, it's just kind of a nice, like, subtle looking into the dark mirror moment. Like, he just hates Yuji so much because, like, Yuji kind of is him, right? But, like, all the worst slash best parts of him. And I also think this would tie a nice little narrative bow on who is going to be the one that teaches you about love, Sukuna? Like, what if it is literally his twin brother that is all the parts of him that he isn't? Ultimately, I just think this would be extremely poetic. I mean, they basically already are mirrors of one another, Sukuna being the dark, Yuji being the light, obviously. So if they were literally twins on top of that, it's just kind of icing on the cake. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but the Ryomen Sukuna, like, legend that Gege based this character on was a conjoined twin. And y'all, I don't think I've yapped that hard since the Heian era, so if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. And again, if you did not see my original 3 videos talking about the things we covered here, please check those out because I do a much better job of painting the theory. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next one.